In today's video, guys, we're talking GWS, the players who I think you should really consider for your teams and the ones maybe you should leave out. Hope you enjoy. GWS, it's always one of those teams that, because they're pushing for finals and they like to cycle out players, or maybe players go and get picked up or traded to other clubs, there's always opportunities in Supercoach for them to have people who will score well for us. In the past, we've been just so lucky to have a Cornelio and a few of these other players have DPP, at least to start the season, so we can pick them up cheap and put them in other positions. This year, we're kind of hurt by the amount of DPP options. There really isn't any. Playing round zero and having a bye early means that it hurts quite a lot as well. In saying that, there is some opportunity for a lot of their players who play those early games to go bonkers. The first two games, I think they've got North Melbourne and West Coast. So you know the key forwards are going to score well. You know the midfielders and potentially the ruck are going to score well as well. So stay tuned for who I've got in the list. Starting from the back line, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's Ollie Whitfield. Now, he isn't that old, but he was a player that some of us have definitely been touted and fiddled around with. I hate that word. Fiddled around with in our teams in previous years. He is only defender eligible at the moment, but if he goes back to that half back role that he had a couple of years ago, where he was easily pumping out hundreds, 105s, 110s for most weeks, there could be some value for him at 519k. We're lucky that we get 2 or 3 practice games and then round zero to make our decision. But if he goes big in round zero and looks good in the preseason games, I think some people might be like, hey, chuck him in my team, especially at 519k. If you can't afford these 650k people, Ollie Whitfield for at least first 2 or 3 weeks could be an option there. Maybe you get a good price increase and then offload him later. Harry Himmelberg. Now, we know how good he was in our forward lines a couple of years ago. And even when DPP came in, we can go put him in the back line as well. It looks like the Giants are only going to play him in the defense. I think their forward line is slowly getting fixed up, especially with Cadman in there, who we'll talk about in a minute. Himmelberg does offer some value. I think he's only in about 2% teams at the moment, just for the awkward price. If it doesn't work out, you're kind of stuck. But if it does work out, you're onto a winner. So what do? Do you get the option, or do you take the risk, or don't play him at all? Someone to definitely watch, similar with a Ollie Whitfield over the early games and over the preseason games, just to see how he goes. Maybe you can upgrade into him again, or if you don't want to pick him, upgrade into him. So wait and see. Tom Green. Now, he's someone who basically hasn't left my side since Supercoach opened. I think he does have some value at that price point, because if you look at his scoring in the second half of the season, it wasn't bad. Like, there's a few 140s, 130s, 120s in there. The kid's on fire. Natural progression, natural, development in his body. And I think the team just getting better definitely helped him. They've actually got a ruckman now in Briggs instead of relying on Matt Flynn or potentially Bruce or whoever else to actually ruck, which means that they finally get some cohesion in that team. It's going to push them into the finals. Tom Green's going to be that player. Don't be scared away from the early buy. If you've watched our early buy video and kind of what to do with the buy planning beginner video, JD goes over, hey, your player is missing 1 week. It's not a big deal. If he got injured for a week, you wouldn't get rid of him. Doesn't mean you don't pick Tom Green. The fact that he also has the round 12 buy means that it's a lot more favorable to start GWS players than to bring them into your side. Because if you go and try and bring him in, let's say round 7, 8, 9, when your normal upgrades would happen, you've got him for 3 weeks and then he's got a buy. Where's the value in that pick? Stephen Cornelio is the next one up on my list. If this guy was still forward eligible, mate, I would pick him. But this year, I just don't think there's much of an option. Potentially, I've seen some people go and pick him or Josh Kelly, who we'll talk about next, as someone who'll make some money quick. If it works out for you, fantastic. If you don't mind being, let's say, 2, 3, 4 trades behind everyone else, but you've made kind of 100k at the start of the season with some decent scoring, that might be enough for you. Let me know down in the comments. Are you trying to do some buy swapping with these GWS players? Or are you just kind of, just make your team as normal? Josh Kelly. Now, if you look at historically for the scoring, yes, Tom Green maybe didn't do as well last year. I think he had a 77 against North Melbourne and a 106 against West Coast. Josh Kelly and Canelio were the players that went big in both of those games. There is opportunity for him to do that again. The big watch and see. He's always been around this price. And the issue I have with him, and maybe Canelio to a lesser extent, is they just no upside in the pick, for me at least. Maybe not for you, but it does show why he's so low owned. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully GWS and Kingsley just kind of click, push hard in for finals, and Josh Kelly could be a fantastic pick. I'm not against it, and it's really good that we get kind of those 3 games plus round 0 to make decisions on these players, because I think we'll need them. Another player who we might need decisions with, and someone who potentially, given his body strength and size, could get a favorable position when it comes to the new ruck rules, where basically they can almost impede and impeach and push away the other ruckman if it's shown that, hey, look, they're still going for the ball when they go up for the contest. These bigger type players just works out well for them. Kieran Briggs, the savior of a lot of people's teams last year. Same with mine. We basically picked him up at 200K, rode the wave all the way to 600K, and he was scoring really well. He's obviously cemented the spot. People like Matt Flynn have, basically been kicked out of the team because of it. Kieran Briggs definitely has an option for some people, maybe more in draft. This year definitely seems to be dominated by Gawn and Grundy, as we'll talk about in some later videos. But if you want a bit of a pod, Briggs, I wouldn't say no, especially given the early matchups as well. I think he's going to beat Flynn. He should beat Cherry like no one's business. He could be set legitimately. He could go for like a 180 in week 1. Like, mate, why would you not take that and just be ahead by everyone else? Someone who might not be as Supercoach relevant as a couple of these other players, but does offer some value is Toby Green. More so because of the early fixture. That's what I'm kind of looking at here. When he versus weaker sides, he tends to does really well. We could get an early average of like a 110 out of this player. Someone to watch out with. Their early rounds are very easy. We do get to see round 0 similar to a lot of these other players. So someone to keep an eye out for there. Jesse Hogan is someone who I've definitely been trying to put in my team in Supercoach. He really has the potential to go bang. And against a depleted North Melbourne defense that really doesn't have any key defenders straight off the bat, or any that are super mobile, and similar to a West Coast defense that are probably in a similar position, just with Hearn out, early start of the season, they're still trying to work things out in the team, and with some early injuries as well. Hogan could go bang in both of those games. How would it be if Jesse Hogan scores like 5 goals in one, 4 or 5 goals in the next one, and you don't have him? It is going to hurt. He's going to jump up a lot of money. Early buy, it doesn't matter. Something to consider and something to look and kind of mix around with your team before round 1. The last player we're going to talk about is Aaron Cadman. Number 1 pick, just signed a monster contract to stay at GWS. Admit maybe in North Melbourne and a few other Victorian teams saying, hey, do you want some money to come back home? Cadman, I think, is penciled in to be best 22. Definitely not the sub, but definitely best 22 in that team, probably alongside Hogan, Toby Green, and a few others. At 127K, you can do a lot worse. And similar to a Hogan, the early fixture definitely helps him. If he comes out and scores even a 60, 70, or 80 in round 0, chuck him in your team. He'll make you some quick cash. That's all we need from these type of players. So let me know down in the comments, are you picking Cadman or are you guys going for something else? Well, guys, there wasn't a lot of GWS players, but more than some other teams, which is kind of an interesting thing given where they are on the field. Let me know down in the comments, hey, Big J, you're talking shit or you've got it right. Maybe it's something to consider here, given the round 0 bye. We get a lot of kind of experience and a lot of homework done with these type of players. GWS's early fixture definitely helps them out quite a lot. Remember, we've got our Supercoach League that's coming out as well. You guys can win 3 amazing prizes. I'll put the information down below. And guys, we're trying to grow the channel. So if you haven't subscribed, we'd love you to smash that bell. I think we've just hit 50 Supercoach videos for the preseason as well. So big milestone for us over the last couple of months. We've got a month to go of Supercoach as well before round 1. So So stay tuned for a lot of episodes. Remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you don't have to. Bye for now.